Hey, UMass fans, Alan Pandiani back for another episode of the Flagship in Focus. And today I'm super excited, super excited, because as a former track and field athlete myself, and after interviewing Lou Panachone a couple weeks ago, I get to be on today with Courtney Kromko, an occupational therapist at Wayne Memorial Hospital in Pennsylvania. Courtney is an alumna of our women's track and field program, where she was a jumper for Coach Jackson. Courtney, we're so happy to have you on today. Really glad you could make the time. Why don't you give our fans a little bit of a backstory on who you are, how you came to be at UMass, and where you're at now?
Okay. Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm from Waymart, Pennsylvania. I'm currently back home, working at home. I was a track and field athlete from 2011 to 2015 under Coach Jackson, primarily a jumper. I graduated in 2015, and I went on to earn my master's degree at University of Southern Maine. I lived there for about 5 years, and I worked as a pediatric therapist. And then I moved back home to start a new job. I wanted to try out a different setting in occupational therapy.
Awesome. So, Courtney, obviously, since going back home and getting done in Maine and being in your role, what was your typical day-to-day like, or week-to-week, I should say, before, let's say pre-January 2020?
Right. So signing on for this job, I signed on as an outpatient therapist, meaning people were coming to me for services. And I did a little bit of non-traditional occupational therapy. I specialize in lymphedema therapy and chronic edema, which is essentially really bad swelling, for lack of better terms. And then I do some stuff with wound care as well. So typically, on a regular day, I would see anywhere between 3 and 8 patients, anywhere between a half hour and 4 hours, depending on how long it took. There's a couple different components that go along with it. So I was rarely in the hospital, only for wound care if I had to go see the doctor. So they came to me, and everything was great. Now that the pandemic happened, I'm basically in the hospital all the time now.
Yeah, you're starting to see all kinds of reports coming out that hospitals are going back and checking coroner's reports or medical histories of people as far back as early December in France and in the United States. And more people are testing positive for COVID before I think we really even thought that it was present here in the United States or in countries like France. And with that being said, Courtney, just talk a little bit about how your life has changed and how the day-to-day has changed over these last 7-8 weeks.
Right. So as an OT, you kind of practice general precautions. You learn them in school. You wash your hands really well. If somebody sneezes on you, if some kind of fluid gets on you, you take care of it. You really don't think twice about it when you're in the practice, and it doesn't seem, if there's no really infection or something that, you need to look out for, you just go about your day. Right. Now, like I said, I was not trained in the hospital at all. I worked on the weekends as a rotational therapist and inpatient, where you typically would go if, you needed a little extra therapy or support before you transitioned back home. A lot of people, you'll have stroke patients in there, or hip patient, somebody who's fell and had hip surgery. So they're just getting a little bit of endurance or strength built back up before they go home. So that was really my traditional. Since this, I got a quick 1-day training, and it was really great. We watched a lot of videos ahead of time, and then our nursing staff put on a presentation about PPE and what we need to do. I actually was never fit tested for an N95 mask because it was never going to be a situation where I had to be, right. I had to be working in the hospital like that. So I don't even get to wear an N95 because of the shortage and everything. I have to wear one of those painter masks. Mm-hmm. So it gives nice little suctions underneath my eyes, and I have the goggles. But yeah, it's actually, once the first time you start in there, I I was never more nervous in my life. But once you see like the patients and you just take general precautions, like, don't stand in front of them when they cough. Stand to the side of them. Even though you have all your protection and stuff on, like, let's take the extra step to protect ourselves. But it ends up being less scary than you think when you're in there because you're so protected. I have probably 3 or 4 layers on, gloves, mask. There's nothing that's getting on in any of my, mouth, nose, eyes, anything like that. So when you're protected, it feels okay. When you're not, it's scary from the outside. But yeah, it's eye-opening because I see how debilitated these people are and how grateful they are. I've had all of my patients say that they've never felt like so distant to anybody in their life because it's like they're a criminal for having a virus, and people treat them differently. And even in the store, I see like people don't smile or make eye contact anymore. It's not. I think we're like going in a social direction where we're afraid of each other, and it's actually beautiful to see how grateful and willing these people are to have you in and helping them.
Yeah, that's, Courtney, we're so proud of you and so happy that you're such a phenomenal representative of UMass athletics and our women's track and field program. Obviously, we really appreciate what you're doing down there in Pennsylvania, and I think that it'd be great for our audience to hear from you what maybe some additional words of precaution or preventative measures are people should perhaps be taking beyond just the classic hand washing. Or, here in Massachusetts, it's now mandatory that you are wearing a face covering whenever you're out in public, even if you're someone that's, me as a person that runs almost every day, I'm going to have to be wearing a bandana or something while I'm out running. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But what are some helpful tips or lifestyle habits that you hope people take seriously over the coming months here?
Well, first and foremost, like you mentioned, please wear a mask. Please. I saw a research article about transmission, and transmission with, like, even if you have the virus, mask to mask is only 2%, whereas no mask is up to 75%. So really a big deal to wear a mask. I guess like avoids big social gatherings. I mean, I see people's grandparents and family members and loved ones in the hospital all the time, and it's so sad to say like, oh, my granddaughter, my grandkid just wanted to visit just to say hi because they miss me. I know it's hard, and I know it's, you want to go see those people that you're so close with, but it's right now until we get things a little bit more under control and we have a more understanding. I think we need to continue our social distancing, not only for, our people that are healthy, but for our healthcare workers, because it's not, I'm in there for a couple hours where our nurses are in there for 12 to 15 hour shifts, and I give them more credit than I ever deserve because they withstand so many more conditions in those masks all day. So just think ahead of time about the people that you're putting at risk before you go and do something. I think our travel, our social events that we all are desiring to get back to can wait. Awesome.
Well, Courtney, we're so glad that you made time to come on today before heading right back into the thick of things. Yeah. Again, we appreciate you. We can't wait to have you back on campus at some point in the near future, hopefully. But Courtney Kromko, occupational therapist, great ambassador of the Flagship. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.